Hello, today is the 13th February, so we are having our MicroProfile technical call. So please help out with all the minutes and also add your name to the minutes as well. So we have quite a lot to discuss today. Let me share my screen. Okay, so it's the first thing is the kind of the tutorial. So basically is we are having a MicroProfile tutorial. So it's Toran have done a great job. So keep us up to date with the progress of the tutorial. Also, I have raised the kind of the issue with Eclipse Foundation to have this MicroProfile dash tutorials created. Basically,
The singular form tutorial.
tutorial created. You're right. So it's sorry, go ahead.
They're still in plural S on that.
That's his repo.
Okay.
So his repo.
It's too small on my screen, sorry.
No problem. So it's basically it's I will follow up with EMO after the call because I haven't seen the tutorial the GitHub repo created as yet. So once it's created, I will basically send a note to here. But at this moment of time, if you have any feedback and etc., please directly comment on here. I think John has started with some conversation. So basically, it's chapter 1 is trying to basically conclude chapter 1. No, that's strange. Should be .md. I think that may be an issue. It's a typo here. So it's basically now is a good time to provide feedback. So it's that's for the tutorial. Are there any comments regarding the tutorial? Okay, if not, I think now it kind of would be great to look into the joint survey discussion. Basically, it's in the last week's live hangout, we basically discussed the whether to have our own survey or we jointly create a survey with Jakarta EE. I think the conclusion is we will basically do a joint survey with Jakarta EE, and also Jakarta EE community welcome this kind of the joint effort exercise. Rather did a great job. Basically, is trying to trying to basically is socialize the idea and also like send an email to the Google group mailing list for people to basically add any feedback or add any kind of questions they would like to see in this survey. Rather, do you want to basically provide a quick update or what's next?
Yeah, so what's next is we really need people's input by Thursday at the latest. So here's the thing. So the survey is finalizing. I mean, certainly we can provide feedback, but we do need to provide that in a timely fashion at this point because the survey content is going to finalize on Thursday. So whatever input you have, I suggest please doing that. The quickest and most efficient way to do it, frankly, is just go onto the survey and provide your input in context. If you must, just email to the whatever email you want to respond to, whether it's in the working group email or the Google group, and I and Emily will make an honest effort of incorporating that and interpreting whatever your input may be, right? But main thing is deadline is Thursday. Please do so now if you have not done so. And if it's all good, then I guess you don't need to do anything at all. This is not one and done. Although the timing for this is pretty limited, another survey is coming up pretty soon, and that's the technical survey, and that's going to ask, that's going to have scope for much more in-depth technical questions. Whether this is a little bit more high level, in my opinion, it says developer survey, but it's really more IT decision-making oriented survey, in my opinion, really. So yeah, the developer survey will have, sort of more scope for more technical questions, if you will. And we can certainly, going forward, make a point of providing our feedback there early and getting, a review cycle there early. So yeah, don't consider this one and done, but for this time, yeah, please do make an effort to provide any feedback you may or may not have by Thursday, because that's the latest we'll be able to incorporate anything.
Yeah, thank you, Reza. So it's at the moment in the kind of questions is I can only see one basically micro profile, one question regarding to micro profile. So it's I propose probably, let me see, this is only, no, it's more. This is that's kind of different languages. Yeah. So only one question regarding micro profile. I'm wondering what if we add basically the question they trying to basically limit the number of questions. If we add a micro profile kind of question there, so I'm thinking maybe saying which version of micro profile are you using, or kind of something along the similar line. Shall we kind of I know it's basically we're light on the participant today. So are there any burning questions do you think we should basically we should ask?
Yeah, regarding the additional technologies, it's 17. We could add if people want to use open telemetry as an option.
Open telemetry or MicroProfile telemetry?
Yeah, that would be very specific, but if we ask for open telemetry, this includes obviously MP telemetry.
Okay. Ian, can you put your question to the minutes? So Reza, go ahead. Reza, you have your hands up.
Yes, yeah, I do. So I do think there's a little bit of questions that are a little bit fluff. So I think we can discuss this with the marketing committee. I can definitely identify at least two questions that are a little bit redundant. Wow, somebody has a really loud key.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but anyway, yeah, I think that's legitimate. That's a legitimate thing to ask. Yeah, so I did have that in there, and I think we need to determine what versions of MicroProfile we want to cover in that. So we can remove some questions that are a little bit redundant, and then in terms of addition, I would say, what versions of MicroProfile are you using? Anything else I think is more appropriate for the technical survey. I think open telemetry potentially, but yeah, we can try to see if there's a desire to say, hey, do you want open telemetry included? But to be honest, that question is specifically asking about Jakarta EE working group. It's not asking about MicroProfile. So we can try. I don't know how the likelihood of actually including open telemetry, given that everybody knows that's probably not going to be in Jakarta EE. But regardless, useful feedback.
Okay. Okay, so that's good. So it's Yeah, if you can create a question to the to here, basically. So rather, what do you want to do then? So we basically is we put a question here, and then it's kind of we put on the mailing list, and then it's on Thursday. So basically, we provide basically we can directly comment on that Google Doc other comments with a couple questions we want to be added.
To be honest, Emily, I don't think we need to do all that. In my opinion, we should just, go ahead and maybe populate, maybe ask this question, whatever form you wanna ask this question at, add it as a comment for now, and then on Thursday when we go to finalize the survey, we should just discuss it and see if we can get it included. That's the way I would approach it. Because there's not a whole lot of time. Literally, it's between
Okay.
now and Thursday. We need to get something done.
Okay, that's kind of I think yeah similar to what I would suggest as well. So in that case, Ian, do you mind can you double check to see click on this link, double check to see whether you can add a comment. So you can add a comment.
I try.
If you can't, I will add for you. 17, you say.
I need to log in to Google.
Okay, so I will add. You can comment on my comment. Okay, so that's good. I think it's and then I will add another the question I mentioned here. And then we are done. So what about others? Are there anybody else want to add questions to the survey? Do I have um, okay, if not, I will.
I'm not allowed to edit or add comments.
Okay. That's okay. That's a shame. But anyway, I added. So are you happy with what I said? I added so basically the 17, yeah, here. I just say please add one more option for open telemetry, right? Yeah, okay, good. Thanks.
Interesting.
Okay,
I cannot see the comments too.
really?
Really?
That's strange. Okay, I will feedback. So rather and yeah, we will feedback to the marketing folks. Need to make sure is people can comment.
Well, sorry, I didn't see the comment of the document. I think I didn't see the comment of document. I think in the 2019 or yes,
19.
19. Yes, we can participate about the full platform for Jakarta or microservices. All of them in the one box, and we can participate in two box. And if they used in the microservices, they can use Quarkus or um, Liberty or other things. And if they use the full platform, they can select Whitefly or JBoss or other thing.
I'm not quite sure what your suggestion. Are you suggest? Not quite sure what you are suggesting.
You can participate technology for Jakarta Enterprise Core and full platform. If people use uh, uh, full platform, they can select the um, Whitefly or WebLogic or other things, or if they use microservices, they can select the Quarkus or Helidon or other things. It's related to MicroProfile.
Yeah, I think this is a survey. It's not like when you should use what. So this question is said which runtime do you use? Maybe as you said, is they are doing microservices, so they will be on Halidon, so they will choose this. This
Mhm.
so we just want. I think this is just trying to find out what they are using. Yeah,
Mhm. Okay.
thank you. So are there any other questions? Okay. After the call, I will add this one as a question, and then and we're done with it. So, Reza, do you have any questions?
No, Emily, bear in mind we were asked not to change the survey anyway, outer band. So I think we can add it. We can add your question as a comment, right? So I would say,
Yes, I
yeah,
will just add
yeah,
as a suggest. Basically, I yeah, basically suggestion mode.
yep. Solution mode, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I think comments are perfectly legit. Yeah, but anything else?
Basically, the suggest
Okay,
here.
fair enough. Yeah, no, I don't have anything. So I think actually the survey is already covering microprofile needs pretty well personally. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all done. So yeah, so that this is for the survey. The other thing is kind of MP release. Actually, the MP release, we basically the like for tracking purpose, we should basically start a plan review soon. So it's actually yesterday we should have started the plan review. However, we have some leeway time. But at the moment, I think it's a couple of spec is still trying to work out basically whether major or minor release and also the scope. I know I can speak for telemetry is also we are not clear on the scope. I will say probably we will move for a couple of weeks over here, but we do have probably 4 weeks at most. 4 weeks at most here. We must basically conclude everything by March. Otherwise, we won't be able to achieve the deadline there. So it's yeah. So that's kind of the dates for the plan review. So next week, I will start the plan review and I then help out at least the rest of the client to create their plan review and etc. I know we have some discussions about whether to basically do a major or minor release if they upgrade Java version also associated with the Jakarta E dependency. We haven't made any decision. I think probably this will be a kind of the affect some spec decision whether they want to do a release or not. So we discussed the scope. Let's first look at the scope. And without that the conversation, we know basically is at least this telemetry on Open API, they will have a release. And fault tolerance is knock-on effect from telemetry. We know this three will have a meaningful kind of spec release. JWT is pretty much they will decide whether they want to do a release. If it's just about moving, basically align with the Jakarta E10 core profile, and the rest of the client probably, very likely will do a release. Health, Martin, you are deciding, right? Whether you want to do a kind of the release or not.
Well, yes, basically also depending on whether it needs to be minor or major.
Right. So if it's a major, you will determine a major. If you have to do a major release, if you basically align with the Jakarta E10, do you plan to do the release or not?
Well, it feels kind of forced, but we have a few features that we could add, but we didn't plan to do a major release. So you see, like, it's really feel forced, and we are adding features because we need to do an upgrade and not the other way around.
But Martin, regarding following semantic conventions, you don't need to add features to a major release. You can add that later to a minor release. That's major release is only showing to all the users that there is a breaking change. So you are not forced to add features when you do the release.
Yeah, but this is exactly my point, that if we are releasing a major release, then if I would be user of the spec, I would expect some features, not only breaking changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but following semantic versions, that's marketing versioning. But following semantic versioning, the major release only shows that they are breaking change, potential breaking changes.
Yeah, you are correct. But like, we are releasing basically a specification, so it's, in my opinion, it should contain some features, because essentially every specification will reach this plateau state where we possibly cannot come up with the new features, and we will still probably need to do some kind of updates, possibly even breaking updates going on. And I don't want to have like 4 major health upgrades just bumping some breaking changes and not adding any new values.
Yeah, I understand your concern, Martin. Is basically this major release actually is nothing new, and from a customer point of view, there's a zero impact. Yeah, I understand that. And actually, we haven't agreed on whether it's a major or minor. So my proposal is, in that mailing list, I will do one more kind of comment and summarize major, minor, kind of the basically the discussions. Also, I quote the semantic versioning, kind of the white paper and etc. And I think we haven't reached a conclusion. I will propose we do a vote, basically not the steering committee kind of the ballot, is a committee ballot. So I will write it up and start a vote. I know in Jakarta EE, when they basically upgrade the versions and etc., is not a major version change. Also,
yeah, that is the meaning of the specification committee. But I say that's really wrong and worse. I had a lot of discussion with Eva about that, and he blocks that, even talk about the issues raising from that, and said, yeah, you can discuss that in MicroProfile. So we need to do a decision here. We can do it better in MicroProfile and show that that has benefit and value following semantic versioning conventions to maintain maintainability at the end over a long period. And we should first start the thread to find the right wording for the ballot that will start then. The good news in that steering committee second part where we discussed that, BJ and me mainly, end of last year, we came at the end to a solution. So his concerns can be solved, and my proposal can be solved too. So OSGI can handle that when we follow BJ's idea, focusing or let OSGI focus on package versions. And the package, meaning the jar of the API, for example, can have a different versioning. So the OSGI concerns he brought up can be solved with that, when I understand that correct. But let's make sure that before we do that. The problem at the moment is OSGI is very powerful and make use of semantic versioning, but has no sense about the Java SE version as a dependency or handling that in any kind. And yeah, the automatic or automation within OSGI need to work, and the spec versioning focusing on also dependencies like Java SE or other specifications handles semantic versioning and breaking changes the right way. But there should be a solution.
Yeah, from my understanding, is semantic versioning. That's on package version. However, the OSGI semantic versioning white paper, I will put a link there, and also it said that the basically the product release is the aggregation of the package version change. If there's no package version major change, the basically recommended the whole basically artifact should be a minor change. So in this case, I think is if we follow that way, that will be a minor change. If there's basically the package we use no major bump, that would be a minor change for us. So
yeah, I remember that white paper. When you can link that, that would be nice. But yeah, BJ said, this is not covered by OSGI yet.
I disagree with him. I did reread the white paper. I will after the call, I will basically reactivate that thread and put on basically the OSGI white paper link and quote the the basically summarize the package version, and then the basically the artifact version, and then we can discuss on that thread, and hopefully by the end of this week, maybe it's the early next week, and and we will just maybe if we need to do a vote, I will work with you, Yan, and then we come up with some wording and etc. so that people can cast a meaningful vote. Is that okay? I will also try to get BJ to voice out as well.
Just as a side note, I just spent one day of my lifetime finding a similar issue in a Quarkus extension that, did a breaking change in a minor version update. These things happened and are just a waste of time, and we should get rid of that.
Okay, on the mailing list. I think
If I may,
go ahead.
If I may, one more comment. I really think that this is a bigger issue, because if we imagine that, for instance, config has no new features to be added, and let's say that we need to bump JDK version because now we are going to have LTS every 2 years, in you understand, in very short period of time, let's say in 5-6 years, 3 times. That means that latest config, I think, is 4. Sorry, I don't know on top of my head. Will be config 7 without any actual new features. So config 4 and config 7 will be exactly the same API. We will just bump the base JDK version.
Yeah, usually I know what you mean. Of course, it's a good idea to aggregate breaking changes to one major release instead of having 3 breaking changes and do 3 separate major releases from it. But yeah, hiding breaking changes always is a mess. And of course, we will update, yeah, every 2 years, maybe the LTS version, but the minimum LTS version need not to be updated on all the component specs every time.
So that would mean that we don't need to fix CVEs even now, and we can continue with already released specs.
Yeah, but the problem here is the parent POM focusing on different Jakarta EE version, and also the test dependencies have CVEs that cannot be fixed, or the projects do not fix them. So if we want to fix them, then we need to change the test framework, or we need to upgrade and maintain only a newer version where these are fixed.
Yeah, but this is exactly my point. Like, this exact scenario can happen again in 2 years.
Yes,
And
of course.
yes, again in 2 years, and we will just be bumping major versions without actual new features. This is my concern.
Yeah, that could happen in the worst case, but I don't expect that is a bigger issue than the issues we have at the moment.
We kind of have the kind of situation maybe for config and health. For config, it's a different story. For health, it's pretty matured. Basically, it's a kind of it's worked very closely with Kubernetes. If Kubernetes is pretty much basically already settled, and then the health probably is kind of matured. If we keep on moving up dependencies to major releases, but yeah, I understand your concern, Martin.
It's questionable if we are finished with health, because we still have a bunch of features in smaller implementation that I could include in the specification. But again, this feels really forced. It's not a requirement coming from a spec. It's more, like pushing from downstream to upstream forcefully.
Yeah. 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 Totally understand. So that's why we haven't settled on this. Is the kind of there's no obvious winner here. So we will basically it's kind of I will link to the web paper, and then it's kind of we will all think about this week, and by Tuesday next week we will just kind of summarize it again, and then it's probably we have to do a committee vote, and then basically I understand luckily we do have basically it's the gap, so that we delay the plan review by a couple weeks. And then hopefully it's, by March we know which spec we will do a release. I understand some spec may say, okay, I don't want to do a release because it's a major release. I don't have anything to add. Okay, is that okay, Martin?
Sorry, couldn't unmute. Yes, sure. Like, let's discuss on the mailing list or in the Google group.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. Yeah, totally. I think it's kind of something was meaningful for the end user and was meaningful, for the release.
And why this should be a committer vote? Yeah, having committers giving a community vote is always a nice thing, but why?
You mean all the
the ballot at the end?
I don't know. Have we ever done a community vote as well? Because the reason is for committer vote is we know how many committers. For the, I mean, easier to say is whether this ballot will pass or not.
Yeah, but that's a working
Yeah.
group decision, right?
I will say this is committer decision. We can discuss again in the
Yeah.
hour. Yeah. So and then we discuss whether the committer vote or the working group vote. The reason is the committer is kind of the committer is making code changes and etc. So that's why. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can decide then. Okay, so next thing is MicroProfile AI discussion. So it's basically like we discussed this basically on the mailing list. It was nicely brought up in January time by Rather. Actually, it's kind of the also we also look at the different AI aspect as well. For me personally, I look at Spring AI, I looked at launching 4G as well. Like I'm thinking probably this is a good place to discuss the APIs. So for these APIs, the goal is pretty much is create basically API for the runtime, be able to support the application to do the chat. For the backend, which LLM they want to plug in, I think they can decide. I'm not sure, like some companies, some kind of the runtime might choose OpenAI, like but for IBM probably we would just like Watson X, all these kind of things. So this is my personal thought. I'm wondering what others think. Is yeah, open up this for conversation here.
Yeah, my personal view on that, AI is a big topic, of course. Reza said already that, of course, Microsoft is pushing that. One of the principles we had for specification was not depend on one implementation. So just taking the Open API and name it MicroProfile AI might not be the right approach. Having that supported, on the other hand, could be interesting as a provider, for example, if there are multiple ones. The second part was that Majid, there are JSRs discussing AI support, maybe with a different scope. Did you discuss that already?
Martin, this one, yes, which one?
No, that was a discussion on these meetings, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago.
The GSRs, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was discussed in greater detail.
Majid, you brought that up, right?
Majid, do you want to say anything about the GSR?
Well, I think JSR 3081, I think it's a great idea for ARC because it's a conventional solution for detective object detection. I think we can create API for this, or I think Reza said that it's so difficult and worse, but I think we should discuss about that. JSR 3081, if I found it.
381.
Yep. It's about the 3081 for object detection. Frank and Zut Zola work on it. Yes. Visual recognition 3081.
I think the 381 is for the was a standard Java visual recognition with machine learning.
Yep. And we can use for uh, object detection and for LangChain. For J, we can use for LLM and API for chat.
But that's for the visual recognition use cases. I don't
Yep.
think is to do with the application development. So is the same using
Mm, application development.
yeah, that's basically it's pretty much focused on the image. Okay, the
Yep.
API is about main image. Yeah, I don't think is yeah covering our needs. If you think is kind of the can be utilized here, and go ahead to basically put more kind of the context in that thread. So the other things like for this AI, I think it's I'm with Yan. So basically, it's basically this. If we go ahead to do a API, so basically standardize this will be a LLM agnostic. So it's you can plug in any LLM, or you could even add any kind of the different basically the JDKs like Martin mentioned here. So it's another framework. I think it's in the Microsoft Java JDK, and then the kind of the you can facilitate the AI. That's pretty much implementation choices.
Yeah, this is Phil here. I was just playing around with some of the frameworks around LLM, in particular with RAG document ingestion. There's, as far as I saw, there was LangChain, and in particular LangChain for J, the Java implementation. Semantic kernel, there's like a partial implementation in Java by Microsoft, and Llama Index, it's another one. I put that in the chat. But it's useful to have this framework to interact with local llama type of a local LLM, or if you're a hypercloud provider, then using that for RAG ingestion or other types of interaction with the LLM.
Yes. That's a kind of the, yeah, that's exactly like for me, I'm also kind of interested to look at basically launching 4G and Llama index as well. So how can we move this forward? So Phil, are you interested to look into this, or is that your particular interest?
I guess it's one of the interests, certainly from the microprofile perspective, just trying to see how to move that along. And so that and other, I guess, microprofile related topics.
Yeah, because this is something in the new area we could explore. So my suggestion, this is my suggestion. We could have basically this is something new, right? Is kind of probably difficult to find an expert. However, if we put a few people together, the Chinese saying, if it's three people, if it's three kind of people, and then it will form something, it will create something. So I'm thinking after this microprofile 7, like all this settled all the release and scope and etc., we could form a group, basically the interest group. We come together and then brainstorm. And during brainstorm, we say, okay, uh, are we going to make a thing and or not? If we think, okay, it's not a good timing, maybe we just wait for it. If we can come up with a plan, and we will just start doing prototype. What people think?
Sounds good from my perspective. I just, I can't say I'm an expert, but I don't know how many experts there are in the world, and especially if you ask HR, where they're looking for candidates for 5 years of experience with LLMs. There aren't that many.
That will be, nobody will apply for that job. Oh yeah, apart from research folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Emily, the problem here is that the interest that was a little bit of interest of this that was shown on the Microsoft side, it's from the Azure OpenAI team.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they didn't state it very obviously that way, but I mean the implication is that okay, they'd be interested in the Open AI API somehow being surfaced in MicroProfile. So honestly, first we need to make you folks need to make a decision as to what direction you want to take. So it sounds like, obviously just a OpenAI CDI, Open API CDI binding, that's not going to happen, right? Sounds like. So the next question I need to really understand before I go back to them is like, okay, so how do you want to go about creating it? Is it just a binding on LangChain4j, a CDI extension to LangChain4j pretty much? Are you recreating your an entire API from scratch that competes with something like LangChain4j and the Azure Open API? That's what I need to know, right? Before I can go back and ask them, hey, are you interested in getting involved or not? But definitely there's interested in getting involved in like a direct CDI extension for OpenAI. But yeah, aside from that, first I need to know what the direction is. Then I can go back and ask, hey, are you interested in participating?
Yeah, and I mean, from my point of view, definitely we are not competing with OpenAI. We are not. We will be building on top of the OpenAI and some other LLM APIs, basically OpenAI or what's next or some other like Llama in like some other kind of, also is kind of Hugging Face and etc. etc. I think is for me from my point of view is kind of provide alternative to Spring AI. Basically, it's kind of pretty much create integration kind of layer to integrate large language models.
So to be honest, I haven't looked at Spring AI. Does Spring AI try to create its own API, or is it just like really all they're really doing is creating a CDI or a Spring extension to LangChain4j? What approach did they take? Did they create their own entire API, LLM API set, or how did that work actually?
No, not LLM. From my kind of the limited experiment, so they plugged in OpenAI libraries. So they create some like the APIs, and then there's a config. A config basically API key. I saw their API key is pretty much plug in the OpenAI. I think it's for standardizes. I see is all the APIs from no, oh, I only can speak for like OpenAI and Watson X. So you will need to have an API key. So basically, we can easily use the config to do that. And this is what basically is the token.
Okay, so they went ahead and created their own API basically.
Yeah. Is that create a API, but that API is pretty much basically is all the chatting basically thing, the module.
I see. Yeah, so yeah, you guys need to decide what you want to do, and to be honest, I don't know to what extent there'll be an appetite for, oh, let's redo everything that we already did. To what extent
No,
people will be
yeah,
willing to do
no,
that?
yeah, not redoing OpenAI. I think it's built on top is the OpenAI. You can see here. Look, Spring AI OpenAI embedding, Azure OpenAI embedding, Llama. So this is pretty much create kind of the abstraction layer, so you can plug in a different kind of machine learning or AI backend. So you can see here, you can see how all this is kind of the API keys.
But it looks like it's focusing on large language models too, and only on that, right?
Yeah, from my understanding.
Yeah, then we might then think about how we name our specification, because AI is a wide field and image recognition is another useful application of that, but a complete different technology. If we want not to combine all of them in one single specification, like we did for OpenTelemetry, for example, different dimensions of observability, then we should maybe name it MicroProfile LLM, for example, or AI LLM or something like that.
Yeah, we could do either AI or LLM. If we do AI and the things maybe LLM is a kind of module, some module, or we could just do, okay, we're only interested in LLM. Let's do a LLM. So that's all fun. Yeah. So we can discuss once we figured out the scope, we can discuss from there. So if there's sufficient interest, and then it's if it's sufficient interest, and then we can basically go. Yeah. So I think it's kind of that's pretty much. Let's see. Okay, so it's kind of that's kind of pretty much what I'm going to cover. So we'll discuss briefly again next week, and then it's kind of I probably I will start kind of once it's the plan review settled and etc. We will start kind of the group. Maybe we'll discuss again in 2 weeks' time, and then we will start the interest group. And in these 2 weeks, you all think about the scope and etc. And then is kind of we can have we can exchange some ideas. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good. That's good, Emily.
Okay, sounds good. Okay then.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. That's the end of the call, and see you probably next week. Yeah.
Okay.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Have a great time. Bye-bye.
Bye.